call, sir.
Mr. King. Here. Mr. Galvin.
Here.
Mr. Butler. Here. There's a quorum.
As you wish, please stand for the pledge and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, please be with us today. We try to do what's best for the county, we make the best decisions we can. Lead us, guide us through all we do. And keep all these people that came out today to our meeting safe. Dear Lord, remember the conflict across the seas and just be with those people. I ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
We do want to amend the agenda. We've been working with our insurance brokers candidate up until yesterday. So today I think we're ready to make a decision on that. So I'd like to amend the agenda to add approval of insurance brokers to our RFQs.
I make a motion, we amend the agenda to approve, or add the approval of insurance brokers.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda is there it is. It's been published. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll go right into the amended agenda item. Up until yesterday, we talked with various of these two companies and have made a decision, and we wish to go with, well, we're going to go with First State Insurance Agency, the one we've been using. And there were many reasons for it. And do I have a motion?
I make that motion, we go with the First State Insurance Agency, submitted their RFQ for insurance broker.
Second.
I got a receipt from this.
That's right. He's on the board, so it's going to be, he's going to abstain for, from discussion, from motions, and from vote. So I will second that motion. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a roll call vote?
Okay,
Harold,
yes.
David,
Yes.
Gary.
Abstain. I received. Rescind.
Resent?
You abstain.
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 Okay, thank you. Okay,
I resent that.
but we talked to, for instance, First State, and they're going to offer all kinds of, like, training for our people. It'd be on computers, it'd be documented that they've had this training. For instance, dump truck safety is a big item on that. So we've worked with them, and we're looking forward to that. And the whole thing is loss prevention, is what the whole deal is, and safety of our people. Okay, permission to hire custodians. Brian has asked for this, Corey's going to handle it.
Corey Strong, Human Resources. This was on the agenda a couple weeks ago, and I think you guys took it under advisement. There was some discussion as to if it was for custodial or maintenance, and we are just wanting two extra people for custodial. We would like one part-time, which would be a floater, so they would be cross-trained on the 5 different locations that they're in charge of cleaning, and then one full-time, which would start out here along with our 2 other employees in the evening shift with these 2 buildings, and as a backup for time off and vacation and things like that.
I think we need another title than floating custodian.
Okay.
It's not like everyone
I
laugh.
think we need to.
It's just part-time,
Proof.
but they will go from location to location.
Okay, I talked to Brian on this, and we have now 5 buildings that maintenance people are cleaning, and alongside extra offices now at the Weber Road building. And he wants one full-time and one part-time to help fill in also on vacations and time off. So that's the reason for this request. I understand you have several good promising applications,
We do.
applicants.
And this is all in the budget. Budget cover this? The budget?
I don't take care of the payroll budget. I can't answer that. Can Corey answer that?
I have not looked at your budget, to be honest.
I guess we'll have to look at the budget.
Well,
We need
people.
it,
We'll
so
work
we need
it.
to, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask that question and make sure that we're aware that we need to make sure this is in our budget, so.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we hire the part-time and full-time. Part-time starting salary, or wage of $15 an hour, full-time starts at $14.08. Are we gonna, is that the one you're recommending, or we're both recommending?
More than likely, it will be the 1408, but there is that range there if they have,
Okay.
some experience, and if Brian chooses to go above that, that's the range.
Gotcha, okay, so the 1408, and, for the maintenance department for, floating custodian.
And that's one of each, correct?
Yes.
One full-time, one part-time.
Okay. Can I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Question? Yeah, Rich?
I understand the need for this as we increase our real estate. Where is this lie in the budget?
Where? Okay, normally it's in the maintenance budget, correct?
I don't take care of the employee part of the budget.
Okay.
I'm assuming
Well, when
Corey
the budget's
does.
set up, it's,
Yeah.
it's in your list.
It's in my list.
Yeah.
There's a line item for wages for employees, and I just haven't looked at that.
So this, but this will fit into that.
In the maintenance budget, yes. But under the, yes, wages
So,
of the
so
maintenance
maintenance
budget.
budget, correct me, Louis, maintenance budget, if you hire these people before the end of the year, we would have to amend his budget if he doesn't have any money in it, and then we'd have to put it in his budget for next year's budget, isn't that correct, or?
And then adjust his proposed budget for next year.
Correct, that would have to be changed.
We can make that amendment starting November 1st, so it's hot and heavy coming up, so.
Right, and I doubt if you get anybody hired before that, but if you do, what my point is, you have to adjust his budget for this year's because it's not in there, obviously, because the positions weren't even in there, and then put it in the next year's plan budget.
Yeah. Part of the explanation is on this, that, the maintenance department's taken over care of the jail now, which is a big deal. And so, and that was important, so it needed to be done, and so Brian stepped out and he's putting people out there. And it's going, you know, we spent so much time and effort building up the jail, getting new facilities out there, but yet we hadn't worried about keep maintaining it. So that's what this is gonna be.
I'm not gonna debate that because I don't see any need to. I just want to assure that we're being fiscally responsible and we're able to cover it.
And I think putting those people out there is fiscally responsible also.
Okay, those people go, if they're gonna do maintenance in the jail, then, or is that part of, the budgeted to property?
Is it what?
Is it
Property.
No, that's no.
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 So we're not gonna count that.
No, it doesn't, this property doesn't go into this, that's,
If they're working in the jail, it does not go in.
Well, there's
it's
more.
on a different budget line item.
Brian and them's doing more too, like on little construction, little more stuff. We can actually do it cheaper than hiring it out with our own, and they're doing a good job at it. They'll maintain it. It's actually better for the county. They're doing a lot of projects now that we would be getting out, so.
Just a good example is that they went through training just within the last month of how to, do, concrete floors, polish them up and get that finished floor on that you see at the Walmart stores and different things. So we'll be able to do that in-house.
Right. So the, yes, under his wage on the maintenance group is where this is gonna come out. And
Thank
they'll
you.
have it, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I didn't get a vote on that. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, permission to bid. Hope you get a better truck than that one.
John Gross, Highway Administrator. Actually, I'd take a couple trucks like that if you
Yeah.
could find them.
That's
That'd be a lot easier to
a
work.
couple of them we got.
They'd be a little easier to work
Doug
on.
would rather work on that too, right?
Yeah,
The computers don't go out as easy.
there's no computers in there. We would like permission to bid several new trucks. I say several, it could be 2 or 3 depending on the cost. We have budgeted a certain amount of money for the 24 year for 2 new pickups or 3 new pickups. We have the ability to purchase off the state contract, but we would also like to bid these out, see what we can get locally as far as a competitive price from a local place. Half-ton, full drive pickups.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion that we, Road and Bridge permission to bid for 2 or 3 new trucks, but I will say in the motion, I'd like to bid them local.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we're,
that's when he's.
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. That's why we're asking to
But
bid
we'll
these out.
accept bids from anywhere else too.
We will.
Okay. But we'll stress the local, okay. Second,
I'll second that.
questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. John?
We would like to award an overlay bid to Leadbelt Materials for a section of Wolf Fredericktown roadway. This is from the new bridge that was placed over the Wolf Creek up to Possum Hollow. This section of roadway, about 2 years ago, we had to completely rebuild the roadway, establish a new base, and it's ready for an overlay now. This was bid out earlier in the year, and we would like to award this to Leadbelt. It's the 92-125.
How does my measured distance compare to your numbers?
It's a little shorter.
Okay. All right. I had to.
But that's, I mean, it's going from the bridge to Possum Hollow, so.
Okay. All right, motion.
Make a motion, we award the road overlay bid to Leadbelt Materials for $92,125.
Second,
Second.
questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna have an update on the Uplit Center. Who's going to, I put Carrie and
They
Nicole
run the
on
whole
that.
road, this is what, look at that, that's nice.
Okay, now, they're going to plug into my program here.
Oh, I was like, is he getting it too? Birthday the other day. You and I were singing, or did you know that? Oh,
Chronological.
49, 48.
I'll take it. You can't learn to lie like that.
Thank you.
All right, good morning. I'm Nicole Hahn. I'm with East Missouri Action Agency. With me today is Carrie McCrory, our Executive Director, Darion Hill, he's our new Community Services Program Director, Deborah Carter, she operates the current day shelter, she's the shelter manager, and then we have Kim and Janin, who were so kind to join us this morning. They are previous clients of the shelter, and so they're going to share with you. And so I apologize for the mask, but I am getting over COVID and I wanted to be safe for all of you. So if you'll bear with me, I will try to talk as loud as I possibly can. Really, the Uplift Shelter is a part of East Missouri Action Agency. For those of you that don't know, East Missouri Action Agency has been around since 1965. We serve over 18,000 individuals and families each year who are low income and in poverty. So the Uplift program is just a very, not a small portion, but it is just one program within many programs that we have at the agency. And we're really here to help everybody thrive and be a part of communities that help people help themselves. There was a picture on that the commissioners had, but just so you kind of get a lay of the land if you're not for sure exactly where the shelter is. The current day shelter is in the L-shaped building in the top right-hand corner with the Farmington Senior Center. The overnight shelter is that building towards the back left. Currently that building is completely shut down. There's no power, there's nothing, no services, nobody currently staying there as well. But I do want to mention that where we're at, thank you, where we're at here in this area, just down the road is CMOBH, as well as the Farmington Ministerial Alliance. And those are key partners for us that work with us to ensure that we're able to help clients to the best of our ability. There are currently right here, there are 2 pod units, if you're familiar with those. They're 2 shipping containers. However, there is a low-income complex that's going right here in this grassy area, and the pods will be leaving. So when we're talking today, we're not talking about the pod units that are currently still sitting there. At the day shelter, we're currently open from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then again from 1 to 4. And then there are emergencies from 4 to 5. We will take care of those. It is Monday through Thursday. We do have shower facilities, laundry facilities, outreach services, case management. We help with job search, connections to rehabs and behavioral health, community partners, and then we do also still offer food, sometimes hot, but mostly food that's in cans and portable and easy to take on the road with you. There are no overnight services currently at the shelter. This is just, oh no. This is just our data. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. Let me reconnect to my hotspot, which I did not. Did my phone disappear? Did I brought it? Oh, I did bring it. I'm
Nicole,
sorry,
on any
guys.
of those services, was there a cost involved?
In the previous services?
Yeah, and any of those, is there any cost involved?
So currently, the electric at this building, including the water and utilities, is paid by the city of Farmington, so we don't have that expense.
I was talking about cost to the people.
Yeah, so, we have the cost of Deborah's salary. We do have to have 2 staff there at all times, so you also have the cost of the community outreach staff member that works there. That's how we manage 2 people. The 2 people is for the safety of everybody, not just the staff, but the clients as well. Just in
I
case
think he's
something
asking about the cost to the clients.
Yeah,
were to happen. So, no, there's no cost to
so
clients.
you can go in and take a shower, whatever you wanna do, there's no cost to that, no.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Sorry, makes a good band up there.
sorry about that. While it went to sleep, it disconnected. There we go. So the day shelter has been open since July 12th. So we've already served 59 people, 22 women, 37 males. Currently in the program, you can see their length of stay in the program. So 1.7% have been there just a week, 10.2, 8 to 14 days, 5.1, 15 to 21 days, 10% of them 22 to 30 days, 28% 31 to 60 days, and 44% have been in the program 61 days plus. There are 3 of them on record as being employed currently. You can see the age of the residents there to the left. In this middle chart, you can see that there are 16 people that we've served who qualify for disability. 12 of them are domestic violence victims or survivors. 35 reported a mental health condition. 20 of them are under the age of 18. Veterans, there's 3. 17 of them have chronic health, and 11 of them have drug use, and 5 have both drug and alcohol addiction. So as you can see, we serve a variety of people with a variety of different conditions when they come to us. And that's literally just since June 12th, and it's only October 18th, I think, today.
70.
At the bottom, it says something about 3 employees.
There are 3 of them that are currently employed. So I'm gonna try to refresh this one more time and hopefully get everything back up. There we go. So when we were operating the overnight shelter opened January 3rd of 2022 and it closed on June 12th. We served 364 individuals during that time. We had a 72 bed capacity. On monthly, we were housing permanently 6 to 9 people a month. Permanent housing can be a variety of different solutions. So that's whether they moved out and had a voucher through our housing program, moved out on their own because they had a job and they were able to support themselves, and yes, that did happen. Whether they went to a residential care facility, to a long-term treatment facility, or at times we were able to reunite them with their family, and they moved back with them permanently. This was not possible, the work that we did was not possible without our community partners, and I can't stress how important those community partners are. Between what the city of Farmington provided, and again, they provided all of the utilities, the water, the sewer, everything for the shelter. From the people who provided laundry detergent and food, most of the time that was churches, sometimes businesses, and other organizations. By the time the shelter closed, we had dinner provided at least 95% of the time at the shelter. So that means some business or some organization was bringing in a hot meal almost daily to the shelter to provide food. if we had had, and I don't have an exact number for you, but if we had to provide food at the shelter, it would have been another $250,000 to $300,000 easily, to make that happen. Fundraising and grants. So we have been successfully awarded several grants through the Missouri Housing Development Commission. This is a very competitive process. And there are many organizations that search out this funding. Those grants have fluctuated throughout the years. So sometimes we have gone up, sometimes we've gone down. We are currently a little bit up. We have held successful fundraisers in the past. Last year when we held the barbecue as well as the gala, between the two, we netted $35,000. So that was after expenses. That's what we were able to put back and set aside. So our current grant is enough to cover Deborah's salary, and so that is how we're keeping the day shelter open. And that's actually been a combination of two grants, one that will end shortly and one that starts again in November. So together, East Missouri really believes that we can keep about $75,000 to $85,000 annually that we will be able to either raise or provide through grant funding to the shelter. The difference between the day shelter that I talked about earlier and the overnight shelter, there's not a ton of differences, except the overnight shelter really allows us to provide intense case management. We get to know the clients a lot better. We're able to meet with them more often to help address the needs that they have. The shelter is low barrier, both the day shelter and the overnight shelter. The overnight shelter, the only reason you were not allowed to stay is if you were a sexual offender, or if you had broken the rules and guidelines of the shelter, which really would be causing an unsafe environment for clients and staff. But when we say low barrier, we also mean that, like, we accepted dogs into the shelter, so that as that is a barrier to entry for some people, they don't want to leave their animal. And so they had a computer station set up where they could search for jobs. Probation and parole would come over and work with the clients. We were right across the way from the Family and Drug Treatment Court. Anybody who was case managing clients through various programs was able to come and meet with them directly there on site. At the time we closed, we had 23 male beds and 40 female. In the winter time, we did put up to 5 beds to a room. The laundry room provided 4 washers and dryers. We had a small kitchenette. We did not have any way to cook complete meals at the shelter, so we don't have a kitchen, just a small area with a fridge. The office, we do have shipping container storage that was donated to us, which is behind the building. We had the common area where there was a computer and phone for clients, a pantry, a storage room, and a bright space for kids. That bright space was also part of the community partnership. So you'll see throughout this that really it was not just East Missouri. It does not take just East Missouri. It takes our whole community to make this come together and work the way that it did. This is for the whole time the overnight shelter was open. So 364 people total, 148 women, 213 men. We did have 3 people in the LGBTQ community that did stay with us. Our average, or the highest, 28% of our residents were age 35 to 44. So you can see here that obviously as you get younger, the numbers are smaller. However, we were serving clients with families consistently. I would say consistently, Deborah, 2 to 3 families at a time.
Yep.
With children. 43 of those clients were employed. 119 of those clients were permanently housed. So that's an average of 6 to 9 clients a month that we were permanently housing. And you can see, and it's not because Deborah's not doing a great job, it's much harder to casework with somebody when you can't be with them all the time. We've managed to permanently house 3 people currently versus that 119. So it looks like she got 1 more, so 4. And if you see on here, 265 of those clients were on disability. 181 of them reported mental health conditions. There were 13 veterans, 18 people who had alcohol abuse. Drug abuse was 62, both was 19. A very high number of 111 in domestic violence. And so really, I wanna point out those numbers to all of you because a lot of people, we hear a lot of times, we'll just go get a job. It's not as simple as going out and getting a job. Really, the HUD model, the model across the nation is housing first, because if you don't have a roof over your head, how are you supposed to wake up every day, take a shower, feel clean, rested, ready, to go to a job, to interact in society, and all of those things? And so, I really wanted to give you these numbers because a lot of people will say to us as well, those who are homeless, are heavy into drugs and alcohol. And while yes, that is something that is a condition of those who are homeless, it's also a condition for all of us who do have homes. It's not just those who are homeless. And so I wanted to make sure that you guys saw that data.
Excuse me, I think in getting a job, you have to have an address.
Yes.
And is this, if you live here, do you have an address?
Yeah, so the shelter does become your permanent address. We still have mail that comes to us at the shelter currently. So they are allowed to use the shelter as a permanent address.
Sorry to interrupt.
You're good. So this is what the budget would take, and we broke this down for you. 309,000 would be salaries, 101,000 for benefits. 44,000 is indirect, and for those of you who are unaware of what that is, that's the cost of what it takes the agency to run the program in terms of admin salaries. And then, so the total for that altogether is 471,000. Our monthly expenses probably not even reached $5,000 a month, but averaged that. And then security was our second largest cost at $76,000 a year. We had security at the shelter from 6 p.m. to midnight every day of the week, 7 days a week. Other than that, we had 2 staff at the shelter at all times. Again, client safety as well as staff safety. And that's 10 staff that rotated through that, those hours and programs for salaries and benefits. You can see there a monthly breakdown of what it would take to run the shelter with and without security. So with security, it's gonna average about $50,600 a month, or $50,600 a month. And without security, $44,000. Those monthly expenses, in case you're wondering, that makes up the internet, the copier, the shelter manager cell phones, the phones at the shelter, mowing, trash. We have mats from Aramark, especially with rain and snow, pest control, really just anything that wasn't covered by our grants, which is very minimal. Any questions about the budget?
How many counties does East Missouri Action Agency serve?
We serve 8 counties. The shelter only serves St. Francis County.
Okay, and how many of these counties are you requesting funding from?
Because we're only serving St. Francis County, we're only requesting from St. Francis County.
So how many of the residents are from St. Francis County?
I would tell you 98% most of the time. The other 2% are when somebody's passing through and we're simply trying to help them get from point A to point B.
If I may, this is a very detailed look at the overnight shelter and its needs and its successes. It is no longer in existence. Are you looking to open it up again?
So East Missouri is being asked to open it up again, both by the city and the county. And at the current, where we are currently, East Missouri cannot do that alone. And so the commissioners asked us to present to the community, to let the community know what the needs are, because the county doesn't feel they have the funds to support it 100%. The city is supporting it at what the city can support it currently at. And so, truthfully, we are here so that you understand what the needs are of the shelter, so I appreciate you asking the question. And, you know, East Missouri is willing to open the doors again. However, to do that, we have to have the support and the funding to do so. And so we have the structure, we have the baseline, we have, I feel like we have a success rate in this community. These clients, I would like for them to share a little bit of their stories with you because they are powerful and impactful, both of these women that are here today.
Before we move on, I had read that this was shut down so that EMAA could put up low-income housing on the same site. And it appeared to me as the nonprofit end was leaving and a for-profit was beginning. And that sort of set poorly with me. The whole impression was that this project was being abandoned to build those lower income units instead.
No. So I'm gonna let Carrie explain the low income units, because she is working highly on that project. But that is not the case because they're two separate areas. Now the pods, yes, the pods have to move, because of the location, but the pods are literally 10 beds. That's it. So the large shelter is 62, but Carrie will explain the low income housing development.
Sure. So if you go back to the map where Nicole presented first, you will see that the property right in front of the Farmington Senior Center is where the affordable housing complex will go. It is not just low-income housing, it is affordable housing. So you will have people that work, that live in those apartments as well. It's a 42-unit complex. There will be some apartments set aside for homeless folks who are ready to move out of emergency status into their own home. So it will address both needs. You've got a housing shortage in this area across the nation, so that's to help both needs. But you will see that green area is not the shelter is not affected by that green area. So that's the complex.
Who's the owner of that?
The owner is East Missouri Action Agency.
Well, so you own the apartments?
We absolutely do.
And Carrie, is that individual housing, is they apartments, or what are they?
It will be apartments, it will be duplexes.
Okay.
And that funding is not, it's not like we took funding from the shelter to fund that complex.
That funding came from the low-income housing tax credits out of the Missouri Housing Development Commission.
So it's two different projects entirely.
Two separate different projects.
You're currently operating the day. Where are these people going at night?
Into the community, as well as potentially Highway H. I don't know how many we have from there currently that are coming to the day shelter.
How many do we currently think that are living in the woods on Highway H?
I hear the number of 30 plus.
Did that, if I may, did that occur because the overnight was shut down?
No, so it was there prior to the shelter shutting down. And I have communication regarding that. Not as many people were there previously. However, we do have clients who are no longer eligible for uplift services. So that means there was violence or drug abuse that they refused to treat. That Highway H shelter does have a lower barrier than we do. And so we did have some clients who are at Highway H who used to be with us. Where everybody is staying currently, I don't have the answer to that. Deborah, did you want to say something?
I did want to say something. I can tell you that we currently are seeing some of the people from H Highway. They've come in and I've assisted them with food stamps or, to get disability paperwork, housing paperwork. We are still doing that. So this is not, I'm doing everything that I can with what I've got right now.
Rich, I was gonna answer the problem we're having is that, we're kind of looking for something in the future to help here instead of a professional look, instead of maybe them just going somewhere and starting something. So that's why we're kind of looking into this, but we gotta find a way to try to fund it. Grants, somehow we gotta fund this, they can't operate.
And tent camps are
They're
very difficult
professional.
in the winter.
They know what they're doing, and everybody's fine till you wake up one day and you open your back door and in the woods. We're trying to get a handle on that. It's happening everywhere. So this is a start, and they're giving us a good professional look of what it's gonna cost to do. Now, we gotta find a way to fund it. And I think she's done a very good job of showing of what we need to do. So, we can't just sit back, we gotta try to find something.
I appreciate this detail. This has really been needed for a long
I mean,
time.
they're very
And I
professional.
appreciate the county looking to step up to understand the need. So thank you very much.
We also have other think tanks throughout the county as well.
We had a meeting about 3 weeks ago, with the, I'll say the near neighbors of H Highway, the management of H Highway, law enforcement, a couple of commissioners. So, you know, we had this meeting in this room, 18 people were here, to discuss the situation and the problems. And we learned what the problems were, and incrementally, it's getting better out there. For instance, one of the problems was burning of trash, because it really smelled up the neighborhood, and people detested that. Well, I think that's quit. Law enforcement is getting better involved with it from their input. I mean, law enforcement was ready, but they weren't getting calls. And so there were some people that didn't want to be there because of issues. And so now law enforcement, I don't know if you've evicted anybody yet with their help, but I'm looking at the city man and the state, that would be the county issue there. But, you know, the problems are being solved incrementally out there. And they have a lady that stepped up. One of the problems was that there was no leadership and no rules. And that's two of the problems. And so this lady is working on to improve that. So those things are getting better. One thing I would like to point out with Uplift is that they were well run, they had rules, they stuck with them, they had management, they had goals, all that. It really wasn't out there. It was just a very informal situation. You went out there and you threw up your tent wherever you wanted to. So this is, I'm proud of the way Uplift did their work. So there's two different distinct situations here, but we have the one problem of homelessness. You know, we're all trying to figure this out. It's getting worse, getting more. So we're trying to figure out what to do to get on top of this thing.
So you're saying $600 and something $1,000. Now, do you have funding sources for any of that from anybody else, or are you looking to the county to take? Go ahead.
We feel like we can safely say that we will be able to, between grants and fundraising, $85,000 a year. The grants are definitely not promised. We've had 3 different award amounts. We have consistently gone up, but we have had 3 different award amounts in our most consistent grant. We apply for grants consistently, at least every other month, if not every month. We do currently have NAP tax credits for businesses, so we have information. We have this presentation printed off for you, as well as the tax credit flyer, as well as a letter from a community member. But I did, if you guys don't mind, I would like for Kim and Janin to be able just to talk about their experience. I've heard Janin's story. I haven't completely heard Kim's story. I've been a part of different parts of it. But they're definitely both very powerful. So whichever one of you would like to.
Guys, I came to the shelter straight out of treatment. I'm celebrating 2 years clean in December. When I came to the shelter, I had absolutely nothing. I had nowhere to go, and I would have went back to the same life I was at. I didn't have custody of my kids, I didn't have anything. Today I have custody of my children. I live in a home that I'm about to buy. I'm off parole, I'm off probation. I'm on the dean's list at one of the top universities in the country. Going to school to become a substance abuse counselor, getting my master's in Christian counseling. I'm actually a college graduate now. I just got my associate's, went for my bachelor's, going to go on to my master's. If I didn't have this program, I wouldn't have had any of that. It was a platform for me to find myself and build my life. I was a victim of domestic violence. He was an active addiction. Can't beat him, join him. I was getting beat, so I joined him. I got away from him. He went to prison. I got clean. And this program gave me an opportunity to change my life, to find myself again. I had a warm bed. I had food in my stomach. It was right close to family treatment court. I just graduated from drug court. My job was right up the road, so when I was on probation parole and I didn't have a license, I could walk to anywhere I was at. The shuttle was right there too, so I was with every resource I needed was right there at my fingertips because of this shelter piece. My little boy just turned 2 and he was with me. I've got full custody of my kids. Like if it wasn't for this program, I wouldn't have had any of that. So I'm just saying it does work.
Thank you. You say you finished your degree. That requires computers. How did you manage that?
I started school once I moved out of there is when I really committed to school. I go online from my house now. I work full time. I've been with my job. They let me back because I was there at the tail end of my addiction. I've been with my company for 5 years now. So I actually they gave me a second opportunity because I had the stability and I had the time to clean. I changed my life.
But access to a computer.
We had a laptop. We had computers there in the center.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you have that in today's situation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. That's important.
Yeah. County.
I'm kind of curious as to how the other counties that you serve, how do they enter into this effort here, or is this purely San Francisco County effort?
This is purely St. Francis County. It's very difficult for us to go and ask for support from 7 counties when we don't serve anybody but St. Francis County here.
So, in a sense, you're not serving any other counties,
No.
even though.
The agency itself serves 8. We serve 8 counties with our grant-funded programs that we currently have. However, the Uplift Shelter program is specifically St. Francis County.
How do the other counties handle their homeless problems?
Well, they hope that they have resources. Some counties have other agencies. St. Vincent de Paul, Community Counseling, CPCMO. Some of them have shelters, some of them do not. Many of them believe that rural homelessness is not something that affects their community, even though it does affect their community. We do have some funding that we have that is 8 county-wide that can provide emergency assistance, but that's literally $25,000 for an 8 county service area. So as you can imagine, for us, that does not go very far. And that's what we applied. We apply for more than that typically, and we don't always get what we ask for.
Is there a number of how many homeless people are in this community, or in this county?
It's very difficult to get that number. The one count that the grants go off of outside of your own internal data, which is the data that I've shown you through our homeless management information system, they go off of something called a point in time count, and that happens once a year, the 3rd Wednesday in January. However, we are in Region 1. The last 2 years of the pit count during Region 1, we've had severe weather, snow, and ice, and so that count is not accurate. As you can imagine, too, if it is literally under 30 degrees, you're probably trying to find somewhere that you can be safe for the night, and you only count at night. You count from dusk until dawn, and that is a standard across the U.S. That's not just a Missouri or us standard. That's a United States.
But you haven't given a number there.
It's very low. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I want to say the count for St. Francis County included the shelter last year, so you did have the shelter beds. So you were at 72-ish there, and then I don't think that we counted anybody that would have been on the street that night because we didn't have the count. We didn't host it, so you don't have that. What I'm saying is you don't have that number. It's not accurate.
So the number doesn't exist?
Not currently.
And then also, we've got winter coming up now, cold weather, and the shelter's closed. So, this is gonna be an issue. That's why we really thank her for coming in here, showing everybody this, because it's like Harold said, when we had our meeting out on H Highway, instead of a battle, it started out kind of rough, and at the end, it really helped to have a meeting.
Yes, it was a good thing.
Sometimes you think a rough meeting, but it does help. You get through the problem, and now everybody here can understand what kind of problem we're gonna have. We got an issue here that, we got a professional organization here that's trying. We're just trying to figure out how we can help them.
I know you want this other lady to speak.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions about
Okay.
your
Can we let Kim speak and I'll answer your questions? Is that okay?
My name is Jen, and I am a grateful recovering alcoholic today. When I went to the Uplift, I was sleeping in my car due to abuse, and so I was more fortunate than a lot of the people because I had a car. But I was sleeping in my car, and it was cold, and I was at my end, and I didn't know what to do, and I was ready to go back out and use and die. I didn't know what to do. I was directed towards the Uplift Center. And when I entered there, I was greeted with care and love and concern. And I was able to feel safe for once. I had a bed, I had food, there were counselors available. I was able to rest for a few days and feel safe. And then I had the resources to be able to get my life back together. I now have a home. I spend my time working at the Ministerial Alliance. I volunteer that time. The Uplift has inspired me. Deb has inspired me. She's so passionate about this. And it is so needed. I've seen so many people grow. I've seen people come in barefooted and at their end. And that person has a home and a house on their own through this. Just being able to get your identity back, a social security card, get a start. They help you with all that. And they know, I mean, because you're there for a while and then they say, oh, well, Kim's looks like she's having an off day. I'm going to talk to her. So pull me aside, talk to me, ask me how I feel. To really care. I went into a place of strangers and they became a part of my family. I never thought that to be possible, to have people that don't know me to care the most about me. And it made me feel like a human again. And I was able to get my life back together, and this is so needed. It is so needed. I mean, just seeing people sleeping out in the woods or being out in the cold, starving, and not knowing where to turn and what to do, and then end up with the drugs because, you know, it's just not. And the Uplift is exactly what it is. It's an uplift. It uplifts your life. It couldn't be named a better thing. And the staff, and to have security there, and to know that I'm safe, you know, and that's what it really comes down to. So I appreciate it.
What I've noticed when working with these people is the passion I see. You know, it's just amazing how their heart is in what they do. So it's just, it really strikes me every time I'm with this. There's tears back here.
Yeah.
I see that a lot.
Yeah, a couple things. One, you know, I work with St. Vincent de Paul, and we're talking about the homeless. It's tough to get an accurate count, but about 1 out of every, I'd say 15 people that picked up food couldn't take like milk because they had no, you know, when they say, oh, no, I don't, hey, we got some milk today, you want milk? And you don't have a place to put it. No, and then we always take the food to their car, and you can tell a portion every week are living out of their car. I mean, you can tell when somebody's living out. All their possessions are there, and we're trying to shove the food in the between the clothes and the window, and like I said, so that's one thing. I had a question on the NAP grants. They're very effective. How many grants do you have? Are you allotted this year?
We have 500,000 that we can sell through June.
Sell 500,000, so you net 500,000. Is it a 50 or 55%?
It's a 50%.
It's a 50.
That's for business only,
Business
though, it's
owners.
not personal.
That's correct, but if you have, we have a lot of
We do.
businesses in this county, but we're looking how we fund this, and the county obviously can't pick up a $600,000 cost, but if you would net 500,000, and for you to net 500,000, then you would have to get $1 million with a tax credit, and in this county, it's totally doable, because for a taxable company, if they are in a significant tax bracket, so let's say 25% tax bracket, and they get a 50% credit, then it only costs them $2,500 for a $10,000 donation. There are businesses in this county, including our utilities and things like that, that do it all the time in the St. Louis with their NAP tax credits. That is where you could find several $100,000, I believe, in this.
How would you go about talking?
You'd have to market. I mean, you'd have to market just the way we market Pregnancy Resource Center and the CMO Family Violence Center and Habitat for Humanity. Those are all Habitat's a NAP credit. A lot of them are a couple other different kinds of credits, but the principle is the same. You have to have a corporation that or somebody that's, I've donated this because I'm still a partner in a company, so I can use my status to be able to deduct it, but you'd have to market it. You'd have to go out to those corporations and say, how can we get you to step up and commit to a $10,000 donation this next year?
So we've been advertising well over almost probably 10 months at this point in time. Deborah and I have canvassed the entire downtown area.
Well, I just say, I give quite a few thousand to tax credits every year, and I've never heard about it. So, I mean, I'm not saying I can fund it, but
Yeah.
if I can't, if I have not heard about it, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of other people that give to this type of thing.
So a conversation we had with the commissioners the other day, is that honestly, we really need the community's help in making these connections.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of connections in terms of other organizations that we work with, to provide services across the board. And we have very good relationships. We've been talking with Dale Wright. Dale Wright has been trying to advocate for us. He's willing to advocate, to even try to get this into the state budget. And so there is a tax credit flyer. There's the tax credit information. So if you want to know what kind of gift somebody could give and what their return would be on that, they really need to talk to their accountant though to find out for sure exactly how that will impact them. The agency is not going to be able to tell them that. So Carrie we're a part of the Community Action Network in Missouri. So there's 19 community action agencies. The Community Action Network of Missouri, or MCAN, does have a lobbyist. Carrie has reached out to that lobbyist. The lobbyist does believe that we could potentially get this onto the state budget, for next year, which would be July 1st of next year. However, that comes with lobbying fees, and we have been trying to get those down. Our grant funding cannot pay for lobbying fees. That's not allowed, and it would put all of our other programs at risk. And so that is an avenue we could look at, but currently that avenue at the rate he's giving us is not something that the agency would be able to support. The city of Farmington will turn the utilities back on and pay for the water and sewer. They are possibly looking into the security needs, which would also bring the cost down by supporting that through Farmington PD. We believe we can get the community support for food again. We don't believe that would be an issue. It might take some time to get back to where we were. I want to reiterate that rural homelessness is much harder to see. It is not often, yes, I understand in Farmington there are people at the corners. Most of the people at the corners are not homeless. They are there trying to get money. But you know, people who are homeless in rural Missouri, they are in barns, they're in abandoned buildings, they are in places that you aren't going to see every day, and that's also another reason it's so hard to get a true count. And then we also have, and I will tell you, we have a business that did support the agency through NAP tax credits. They gave $10,000, but they also asked us not to name them in that donation because they didn't want to be known for supporting the project. And that's difficult because how do you gain support by showing that others are supporting you? We have other avenues. Carrie had a donor who said that they would donate $5,000, but we had to have the rest of the money to come with it. And so until you have all those pieces together, it makes it very difficult to put together a $500,000 budget. We had the best staff we've ever had at the shelter when we closed the shelter on June 12th. I will tell you, you know, Harold knows my passion. He sees it. He's heard me talk endlessly. But I couldn't have asked Deborah didn't even apply to be the shelter manager. Deborah applied to work PRN, and I said, I really think we could use you, and we could not have asked for somebody with more experience. She used to work on the East Coast in domestic violence. She cares about this community so much, and has given so much of her heart and time, and so have the staff who are there. We have staff who don't even work for us anymore, who are still connecting with people. And some of them don't even have a job right now because they care this much about those who are houseless in our community. And so, you guys, we do have a Facebook page. It's out there. We have tax credit flyers here today. If you know of a business that we can approach, we'll approach them. I will go and have a conversation. Where we're at currently is we cannot do this without additional funding. And we can't be open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. That's just not a good business model, especially for nonprofit, because it does take a lot of time to get this up and running and to operate. I will tell you the agency has done everything they possibly can financially, including being financially negative, to ensure that we were able to keep it as open as long as we were. My salary at the time, I'm no longer the community services program director, but my salary at the time, the assistant director's salary, Carrie's salary, all of that was paid out of our other flexible funding grants. none of that was paid with funds that were for shelter, whether that was shelter grants or fundraising dollars, because we knew that it just can't carry that, and we know that, and that support can be built in, but to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, this is what it takes. And so, I mean, really, I appreciate your time, I appreciate you guys listening. Some of you may not have come here knowing you were gonna listen to this today, and bearing with me, but we will answer any question that you have. I wanna say thank you to Kim and Janin. It's because of you guys and other clients like you that we are able to keep going every day, because we know the impact that it makes, and we see the success that happens through all of you. You guys, we've had clients who came back last Thanksgiving that were permanently housed, and I turned around and I was in the biggest bear hug I've ever gotten in my life. And, you know, they never forget those people that were there to help them. And they have faces, and they are people, and they are human just like everybody else. They come on hard times. Sometimes their house burned down. Sometimes they are in tough situations, domestic violence. They're victims. They don't have the choices or the ability to escape. Or even sometimes the resources. Our county lacks necessary resources outside of homelessness, mental health, physical health, even dental health. But when you can't take care of your basic needs and those can't be met, we can't expect people to be able to be in society and be productive members, as most of you would say. But they don't want to be homeless. That's not. Yes, it can, in I would say very small percentages, be a choice. But even then, it's not always 100% their choice. It's where they're at.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate your
Time and your efforts out there. Will you be around after the meeting
Yes.
for questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for getting that there. I saw it last broke, so.
Okay, and thank you again. Okay, we have a salary increase request for our attorney. And, Ace, okay.
Ace Eckhoff, Chief Juvenile Officer for the 24th Circuit. Just before we start, I'd like to say I have two requests up here for chain of command purposes. Both have been approved for me to ask for this through my appointment authority, which is Judge Bryce Seacrest. And I am also not asking for any additional funding from the county. This would be within our own budget, the 24th Circuit.
Okay, and I've talked to Corey, and you see the numbers up here. She's currently earning the 51,000+. This is a licensed attorney, and midpoint is, you see those points, and requesting 2,000 would take her up to 53+. So certainly below the midpoint. And like he says, this is a state-paid fee. We just have to approve it if we wish to do that.
I got a question.
Well,
What did we do on our attorneys just recently over here that work for the county? Are they the same, close to the same?
Well, Lake requested that his attorneys start out at the 66, which is the midpoint,
Okay.
and they are a different grade on our new salary schedule.
All right.
You see, that one's 66 at midpoint, this is 60 at midpoint.
They're a different grade.
Different grade. Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the salary increase request for the juvenile of, let's see, the current salary is 51, we will go to,
53 to 355.
53,355.
Okay, second?
I second that.
Now, any questions?
And H, you want that to be effective now?
Yes, I would like to.
That would be effective immediately.
Okay, Kevin, are you holding up a hand?
No.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?